Hey guys, so I thought I would go ahead and kick off this raw feeding video with a little sample of what their meals look like. I would have showed you breakfast, except it's pretty boring. It's always the same. They just each get a chicken quarter. That's their bone for the day. I use that as kind of a base because I can get chicken quarters for really cheap. This is Beaker's bowl right here. This is Cody's. They each have the same thing, just he has bigger portions. And I have to grind the heart that I feed up for him because he doesn't like the texture. But yeah, anyways, I'll show you Beaker's bowl because it's a little bit prettier. I tried to lay it out nicely. So this is just a sample. It's not the same every single day. I switch up the meats, I switch up the organs. I also switch up, like I rotate different species of organs, if that makes sense. Like it's not always beef liver or whatever. Anyways, right here, this is some ground venison. This I got for free from a hunter a couple months ago. He gave us 70 pounds, so that was an awesome score for free. This is some beef liver. Like I said, I switch through. Sometimes it's chicken liver, sometimes it is pork liver, or whatever I can find. And then for their other organ today, they're having beef kidney. Once again, it's not always kidney, sometimes it's sweetbreads, brain, basically any other secreting organ, and it's not always from beef. And then today, they both get a raw egg with the shell. A raw egg is basically like perfect food for them. It's completely balanced. This is just kind of like an extra. Every day they get like a different extra that I throw in there, sometimes two. I'll go ahead and talk about that later though. And then for their other extra today, they get coconut oil. Cody doesn't like coconut oil, so he gets a little bit of avocado oil in there. Are you hungry? Am I going too slow? Huh? Guys, are you hungry? Does it smell good? Anyway, he gets some avocado oil, which you can't really see because it's clear. And then the last thing in here is some pork heart. So that's what this is over here. I do feed them heart in small portions pretty much every single day because it is very nutrient dense. But yeah, once again, it's not always from pork. Sometimes it's beef, sometimes it's chicken, turkey, etc. So yeah, anyway, that is just a sample of what their meals look like. And they seem pretty hungry, so I better feed them, huh? Alright, so here they are. This is our ritual every meal. Even when we were on kibble, we did that. Neither of them are possessive, so they can eat next to each other as long as there's space. They don't have any issues, but yeah, they have to wait and watch me, right? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Cody. And as you can see, they definitely love it. Beaker is a chow hound. She always eats super fast. Not like an unhealthy level of fast, but she's just efficient, I guess you would say. Cody likes to take his time. Oh, buddy. He's slow and thoughtful. And these bowls, if you're wondering, by the way, they're really awesome for feeding raw. Obviously, with boneless meats, they don't generally make too much of a mess, even if I fed them in a smaller bowl, but these are awesome for feeding like whole chicken quarters or other large bones. Anything else, like if it's a mat or just like a regular small bowl that you would feed kibble in, they tend to pick things up and just drop them on the floor. But yeah, I got these at Tractor Supply. Amazon carries them too. I want to say Walmart also. They're just feed trays / I think they're also called like utility pans or something. But yeah, whoop, sorry about that. Yeah, these are great for raw feeding. I really like them. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you enjoyed that little intro clip right there. I'm pretty excited to be filming today. This is a video I've been wanting to do for like a really long time. I just am finally to the point where I have the time and felt like I have the knowledge to get it all together. So anyways, as you already know, I'm sure this video is going to be all about feeding your dog raw. It's probably going to be pretty long, so I apologize. I'll try and keep it as short as I can, but you know, still gotta get a lot of information out there. Just a few things before we get into the nitty-gritty. First of all, like general disclaimer, obviously I'm not a vet, I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that. I do have a biochem degree, but that's not necessarily super relevant to this video. I'm just a pet owner that has done a lot of research, which even if you watch this whole video, definitely do a ton of your research of your own. Hi, Cody. It's right here. Yeah, hi, buddy. Yeah. Anyways, definitely do a ton of your research. Like I said, I'm not a professional. I've just done a lot of my own research, so there's that out of the way. Second thing is I really want to keep this video positive, so please, if you have any comments that are rude, like if you think that I'm abusing my dogs because I feed them raw, or if you think I'm making them aggressive and bloodthirsty, or anything like that, or if you're one of those like hardcore people that think that there's only one way to feed raw and you shouldn't feed your dog vegetables, like, awesome for you. You don't have to feed your dog how I feed my dogs. Basically, yeah, just keep it positive, nothing mean. Even if I'm not uploading frequently, I do try and keep up with the comments, so if you say anything nasty, your comment's gonna get deleted and I'll block you, simple as that. So please keep it positive. If you have any questions, I am more than happy to ask, as long as I know the answer. If not, I'll try and direct you to people who might, or if you have any like constructive advice. I've only been doing this for like 4 or 5 months, so I'm still learning myself. Yeah, so anything constructive or questions or just nice comments, those are all more than welcome. And last thing before we get rolling is there's going to be a ton of information down in the description. I'm gonna try and put a bunch of links to like online retailers if you're struggling to find things near you. There's a really good book about feeding raw that I'm gonna link down there. I'll link some groups, some basic like how to start guides. I'm probably also gonna try and like summarize just like some general basics on how to start feeding your dog raw. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of information down there. So if you have any questions, definitely look down there. Anyways, yeah, without further ado, let's get going. Alright, so first to get us started, I kind of want to go into a little bit of the basics of why you should feed your dog raw or why you would want to switch. I could honestly go on and on about this probably. There's a ton of benefits to feeding raw, but what it all boils down to is basically it's just what your dog is supposed to eat. You know, for us, even if we don't eat the healthiest, at the end of the day, we know that we should be eating fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, meats, not processed meats like hot dogs. We don't want to be eating cereal, pizza, etc., stuff like that all the time. We know that fresh foods are better than processed foods, and it's basically the same for dogs. Dogs have been around for hundreds of years, some breeds even longer than that. And kibble and canned foods and other processed dog foods have only been around for like the past 100 years. So obviously, even if before that time dogs weren't eating the most well-balanced diet, they obviously were getting by just fine for hundreds of years on fresh foods. And yeah, basically from head to toe, they're just designed for eating fresh foods. They were not made to eat kibble. Their stomach acidity and things like that, the length of their digestive tract, their teeth, it was all made for eating meat and bones. Even if they are very different from wolves and their ancestors in the most basic fundamental ways, they're basically the same. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit just like barely the tip of the iceberg of why you should feed your dog raw. Honestly, even though my dogs didn't have any chronic problems from being on kibble and they were very young, so it hasn't been that long for them, I've definitely noticed improvements. Their teeth are a lot better. They're already starting to get rid of some of the tartar buildup that they had from eating kibble. And the best thing by far is that they poop way less, particularly Cody. He always had solid kibble once we found the right kibble for him, but he was pooping like 3 to 4 times a day, and they were like ginormous, giant horse poops, basically, and it was so gross. But now that we're feeding raw, he only poops once a day, and they're very small. They don't smell hardly at all, and also, even better, if we don't pick it up or if we forget, or sometimes we can't find it because we have a pretty big yard, it just kind of dissolves and biodegrades all on its own, huh, buddy? He came up to me. But yeah, so that's pretty much just some very, very fundamental basics of why you might want to switch your dog to raw. Okay, so next I'm going to go into kind of like a general guideline about feeding your dog raw and some basic like schools of thought, rules of thumbs, things like that. So basically when you're talking about feeding your dog or your cat raw, there are kind of 2 main groups. There's the prey model feeders, and then there's the barf feeders, which no, that's not literally barf. It stands for bones and raw food, or also sometimes known as biologically appropriate raw food. The difference you can pretty much look up for yourself. For me, I kind of fall somewhere in the middle, I would say. The prey model feeders, generally they never feed fruits and vegetables except maybe as a treat. They don't supplement, they pretty much only feed animal products, and their ratios are basically designed around like the ratios that dogs would get if they were eating whole prey that they caught in the wild. And then on the other end of the spectrum, bar feeders, they follow kind of a similar guideline, except generally they do supplement, some more than others. They might add in dairy, which a lot of really hardcore prey model people frown upon, and then they also feed fruits and vegetables. Some of them feed as much as 20 to 30%, which for me is a little bit much. But like I said, I fall somewhere in the middle. I pretty much follow like prey model guidelines, and then I do add in some extras. I do have a couple supplements I give them, and I do feed them a small amount of fruits and vegetables. So yeah, that's kind of like a very, very, very basic difference between the two. Like I said, if you're curious, you should be doing your own research, so hopefully you'll find more details about that. But anyways, basically, when you boil it down to the basics, for a raw diet, you want to be feeding your dog about 80% muscle meat, 10% bone, and then 10% organ. And of that organ bit, half of that should be liver, and then the other half is another secreting organ, such as like kidney, pancreas, sweetbreads, brain, things like that. Other organs, they might technically be organs such as like tripe, heart, gizzards, things like that. Those are treated as muscle meat. So when you're talking about feeding your dog organs, you are specifically looking at hormone secreting organs, generally because those have the highest vitamin content and vitamin storage. So yeah, that's kind of like the basic ratio you want to follow. As far as how much to feed your dog, for adults, maintenance is usually between 2 or 3% of their body weight. If you have a working dog or an active dog, it might be a little bit more. Also, sometimes small dogs have to eat a bit more than that. For puppies, it kind of depends. They eat a lot more than adults, obviously, as they're growing. So I'll go ahead and leave a chart down below that I found really helpful for Cody, even though he was an older puppy by the time I started raw feeding. But yeah, if you have a puppy specifically, I'll go ahead and leave a chart down below that I found online. And then, so we've gone over the ratio, how much to feed. And then some other general guidelines to making sure you're feeding a balanced diet. You want to have at least 3 different protein sources. Ideally more than that. You want to feed as much variety as you can, but at least 3, which should be fairly easy. Most people can get chicken, pork, beef, right? And a lot of people also like turkey, fish, so that's actually 5. So you want to do at least 3 different proteins, and again, as much as you possibly can. And then the last kind of important phase to making sure you're feeding a balanced diet is feeding red meat. You want around half of the diet or more, depending on your dog. Some dogs can't tolerate a lot of red meat, so it kind of depends. But ideally, at least around half or more from red meat. Just because if you think about it, a wolf in the wild, they aren't going to be eating chicken, really. There aren't wild chickens. Sure, there are wild turkeys. They might occasionally go after those, or rabbits, other small prey like that. But for the most part, they're eating deer, elk, bison, really big, large ungulates. And for lack of a better word, I guess, I think that's the correct term. Anyways, but yeah, wolves in the wild are eating a lot of red meat, and it's more vitamin rich than white meat, like chicken and turkey and things like that. So yeah, around half from red meat, more or less. All right, a few more kind of just like basic things I wanted to throw in. One thing I forgot to add is that if you have trouble with the math, like if you can't figure out what is 2 to 3% of your dog's body weight, or you're having trouble calculating the 80-10-10 ratio, there's a couple different things to help you with that. One that's a really great resource is a website called Perfectly Rawsome. I believe that's it, but again, like I said earlier in the video, a lot of info is going to be down below, so look at that. That website is really awesome for a lot of reasons. It has a ton of awesome just general information, but it also has a section where it gives you an estimate of the bone content of different cuts. So that way you can kind of calculate what, how much bone is in what you're feeding, basically. Just a general disclaimer, there's like no cut of meat basically that is only 10% bone, so you're not going to be feeding exclusively bone-in meat. You're going to be adding a lot of boneless meat into it, more or less depending on how bony the cuts you're feeding are. Anyways, so that website is really helpful, and also if you have an iPhone or an Android, there's an app that is really awesome. On iPhone it's free and it's called Raw Dog, and I believe on Android it's called Raw Fed Dog, and I think it's $1.99, but if you struggle with the math, it's definitely worth it. Basically you put your dog's weight in and what percent of the body weight that you want to feed, and it breaks down the 80-10-10 for you. So that's really awesome if you're struggling with that. If you don't have an iPhone or an Android, there are definitely online calculators. I've just never used one because I have an iPhone, but you can probably search for those fairly easily. So yeah, there's that. A few other things to mention. If you aren't feeding mostly grass-fed meat, which honestly I'm gonna admit I can't afford grass-fed meat for myself, let alone the dogs, or if you aren't feeding mostly wild game, you're going to want to supplement omega-3s in some way or another. Basically because factory farm meat, meat that is being fed a lot of grains primarily in their diet, they're not very high in omega-3s, which are essential to your dog's health. It's really great for their skin and coat, but just for a lot of general basic body functions, they need those omega-3s. So you can supplement that either by adding fish oil, you can give the gel caps like people take, or you could give something like grizzly salmon oil. I've used that in the past, the dogs really like that. Or you could just try and feed fish every day. So whole mackerel, salmon, trout, things like that are great sources of omega-3s for dogs. You can also feed, Cody, no. You can also feed canned sardines if you want. Now obviously canned sardines are not raw, but some dogs are really picky about eating raw fish. Cody, who's crying right here next to me, is one of those dogs. I've tried a few different types. He will not eat raw fish, so he gets canned sardines. If you do get canned sardines though, make sure you're getting them in just water. Check that there's no salt added. And also a general note on salt, if you're buying grocery store meat, you want to check and make sure what you're buying isn't enhanced with any sort of salt water or broth. Usually they do that to add flavor or make it more tender, but you want to be feeding as little sodium as possible to your dogs. So kind of like the rule of thumb is go ahead and look at the serving, and for a 4-ounce serving you want 100 mg of sodium or less. So yeah, there are kind of like exceptions to that. Like for example, usually I'll buy, or not really usually because I've only had one Thanksgiving where I was feeding raw, but for example, after Christmas and Thanksgiving, turkeys usually go on sale. Those are pretty much always enhanced with broth. But I do buy them and you can soak them in water, so that's an option if you do buy things that are enhanced. That helps remove some of the salt out of there. So yeah, that's just for the most part kind of like the basics. There's a lot more to feeding raw that hopefully you will find in your research. One thing I'm going to insert right here after this clip is my weekly feeding chart. So for the dogs, I have it all broken down. I have a chart that has like the weight that they get every single day. I don't have the specific amount of bone on there because I feed chicken quarters like I mentioned in the very beginning. But yeah, it has like the amount of meat, organ, etc., etc. that they get every day, and also all the add-ins that I give them. So I figured that may be kind of helpful if you're kind of looking at a general how-to menu. So yeah, I apologize, they're wrestling in the background and I'm sure it's probably really distracting. But yeah, so here is my feeding chart. Alright, so the very last thing that I want to talk about here is how to go ahead and switch your dog to raw. There are a couple different things you can do, and again, disclaimer, this is going to be that part where I said, you know, if you don't have anything nice to say, keep it to yourself, because this is highly debated amongst raw feeders. But a lot of people switch cold turkey. Personally, what I did for a few months before I made the full switch over to raw was I mixed raw and kibble. Again, a lot of people would say that's a big no-no, especially at the same meal. That's been debunked though. There's a really awesome article from the raw feeding community. I'll go ahead and add that down below with everything else. I don't want to delve into that too much because like I said, I just think it's like overall kind of ridiculous. But yeah, if you want to mix raw and kibble, that's definitely an option. Personally, I think some raw is better than none. And maybe that's all you ever want to do as far as giving your dogs raw food, and that is perfectly okay. Sorry. But as far as making the full like 100% switch, this is basically what you're going to want to do. For the first few weeks, anywhere from 1 week to 3 weeks, maybe even longer if you have a really sensitive dog, you're just going to be feeding chicken. If your dog has a chicken allergy, you can feed turkey. If they're allergic to all protein, you can start with red meat. Obviously, that's pretty much your only option. But if possible, start with some sort of poultry just because it's really bland and easy for them to digest, and it will help make their transition a little bit gentler on their stomach. Those first few weeks, you're also going to want to feed probably a little bit higher bone than normal. You might also want to remove the skin if that upsets your dog's stomach. For my dogs, they didn't have to, but I know some people do. But yeah, for the first few weeks, it's basically just chicken for the most part with bones. If your dog is having like white crumbly poop, you definitely want to add in a little bit of boneless meat. But yeah, you just want to take it really slow and easy basically until they're having consistently good stools and they're not puking or anything like that. Like, you want to wait however long it takes them to basically just level out and adjust eating raw in general before you start adding in other stuff. Once that period is over, then you can go ahead and pick another protein like turkey, pork, beef, really any other protein that you want to feed them. And you want to start slowly, very, very slowly adding that in. Again, that can take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. And again, you're going to wait until their stools are normal. Once they've got those 2 proteins down, go ahead and add another protein. Same thing pretty much. Hopefully you're getting the idea. After that, you can start adding in organ. With organ, you want to be very careful because it's very, 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 very rich. So go 1 organ at a time, start in really small servings, work your way up to a full serving. And that's kind of basically the gist of it. And pretty much like anytime you add anything new, that's more or less how you're going to want to go about it until you've, you know, added everything, I guess. That's pretty much it. Let me see, did I have anything else? Oh, so like some troubleshooting if your dog isn't having good poops. Generally, white and or crumbly poop means they're having too much bone. If their poop is really, really dark and usually also runny, that usually means too much organ. Sometimes that can happen if they're eating too much boneless meat as well. If they're just having trouble keeping a decent stool at all, you can increase the bone even more. Things like necks and backs are really, really bony, so that can help. Or you can also add pumpkin and slippery elm. Those are really good for calming the tummy and firming up their stool. Alright, so that pretty much wraps up this video. Just like some general like good places to look for me as far as like good prices. If you're military, commissary is awesome, or at least our commissary is really great for getting good deals on meat. Ethnic markets like Hispanic markets, Asian markets, those are really usually good prices, and in addition to that, those are usually good places to find weirder things like chicken feet or organs. Most grocery stores like Walmart sells liver, but you might have trouble finding other organs. Those are really good resources. Aldi's is another good one near us. Anyways, I don't think Aldi's are all over the place, but they have good deals on meat. Kinlaw's too, or BJ's or Costco, any sort of wholesale store like that. Those are really, like, in general, just good places to look for good deals on meats. And you'll get used to finding the deals as you go. But yeah, if you're having trouble finding anything near you, like I said, I'll go ahead and link some online sellers down below. Big Dan's Trucking is a really, really great one for buying bulk meat. They have awesome prices. Some of the other ones are a little bit more expensive, but if you're having trouble finding anything, I mean, they're pretty much your only option. So yeah, I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. It means a lot. I put a lot of time like trying to figure out everything I wanted to put in this video. If there's anything more you guys want to see, definitely let me know. I was thinking maybe I could do like a video on a prep day and show you us like prepping their food. We usually do 2 or 3 weeks worth of food at a time. But yeah, I could definitely do a second part. I tried to keep it basic, and I know this video is probably long, but I didn't want it to be like 2 hours long, you know? So yeah, anyways, like I said, definitely check the down bar. There's gonna be a lot of information down there. If you have any other questions or anything like that, please comment down below. I'm more than happy to help out. And otherwise, I hope you're having an awesome day. Say hi to your dogs for me. I definitely love dogs. So yeah. Anyways, that wraps it up, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am going to be showing you a fun DIY holiday craft, and it is paw print ornaments. Obviously, if you don't have dogs, you can do this for cats or probably rabbits, I'm assuming it would work. Also, I think I've seen somebody do it with rabbits or even human handprints, like if you have kids or something. I just think it's a fun, creative little idea and something fun to do around the holiday season. The first version that we did of ours was actually with salt dough. Have them right here. I am actually really happy with how they turned out.